Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I think we're live. Missed the stream last week because I wasn't feeling particularly well, so missed last week. Sorry about that. If anybody was expecting me to go live last week, just feeling just quite drained and run down really last week, so a bit of a quiet day in the end. Today I'd like to start having a look at adding some tests to Content Access by Path module. So I'm going to park build configs this week, maybe come back to it next week. But yeah, I promised Mark that I was going to have a look at adding some tests to this module when he came on the podcast. I haven't done that yet, so I thought it would be a good time to do it now. So got the chat open. If anybody is hanging out and wants to say hello. This is the module that we're looking at. Mark and I talked about it on the podcast. So if I open the podcast episodes up, Mark and I were speaking on the 16th of February. So almost a month to the day that Mark and I had our discussion, or at least the conversation Mark and I had about building something useful in a day. And in that conversation, we talked about quite a few things, including Content Access by Path module, which is something that Mark's released as an open source Drupal module that's been supported by, developed by himself, and then supported by Anatech and also by Essex County Council. I don't know whether it's part of the local gov distribution itself, or whether I think he's just used it maybe on that site. But yeah, we had a good chat about this, what it does. I think he just released it when we spoke, or was just about to. Then yeah, just having had a look at it, there aren't any tests for it. So I said on the episode that yeah, I'll write some tests for this. So yeah, we'll have a look at that today. Let me just find a link to this so I can put it in the chat for everybody. Or I can put it out on Twitter and LinkedIn and everything. Let's do that quickly. Put it out on Twitter because I put my reply. And let's do that on LinkedIn as well. Cool. So yeah, I'd like to look at this module. Before I do that, take this video off because it's a little bit warm in here actually with the light on. So let's do that first. Okay. I'm wearing a Pantheon t-shirt today. I think I was wearing a Pantheon hoodie last stream as well. Not affiliated with Pantheon in any way, but it did send me some hoodies and some t-shirts a while ago, and I was like, yeah, send them to me because I organise a user group and I'll give them out. So we did, and I kept some for myself. So we've got another Pantheon thing on today. So at least they're getting their money's worth from sending me some things. So yeah, this is the module, Content Access by Path. As you can see, that there's, if you zoom in a little bit here, we've got a config folder, we've got a submodule, and we've got a source folder, but there's no tests. So I would like to see if I can maybe contribute some as part of this stream. It's not on, I know what it does from the conversation Mark and I had, but I've not really looked at the code before, so not sure how far we'll get in a stream. It's not code that I've written. Typically, sometimes writing tests for existing code can be a bit tricky. So I'm not making any promises, and we'll see how far we get in maybe an hour or so. And see how far we get. But it should be fun. Let's see. So there's a bit of introduction. Here, this is about what it does. Mark's also done a video about this as well, but with some examples and a bit of a demonstration. But let's go based on this, see what we can figure out. Content Access by Path module allows site builders to set, edit, delete access to nodes based on paths. definitely a use case and requirement that I've had before. Can't quite remember how we solved it in that case. I think we've used Workbench modules in older versions of Drupal maybe, but this seems like a nice solution. For example, you want some editors to be able to edit all content in the news section, others to be able to edit content in news/business, others in news/sports, and news/sports/rugby. That's appropriate given as we've got the final round of the Six Nations on this weekend. So to do so, you'd add a taxonomy term for each site section: news, news business, news sports, rugby, and then in each term you put the path the user who has the taxonomy term applied can edit. Okay, maybe I'm slightly misreading that. I think maybe we use a has instead of a have, but it might just be the way I'm reading that. For the news term, you put in the path news, and the sports term, you put the path news sports, and the rugby term, news sports rugby. Okay. Once that's complete, you'll then edit your user and apply the taxonomy terms to whatever you want. Okay, so there's a couple of key things here. Let's make some notes. So taxonomy term for paths, content access by path, I assume it's called by path. That includes, if we make these lists, paths. Let's go back to that again. So we have news. So yeah, these are going to be terms inside a taxonomy. Okay, or site sections, vocabulary, and the term. Okay, makes sense. Okay, let's just grab these because we can use. We'll make the test match this if we can. Let's try and pull out some interesting things here before we get started. Tried Obsidian again today. It's been a little while since I've tried Obsidian. I've sort of moved between things. Used Evernote and I've used some other things, but so a lot of people using Neovim and Obsidian together. So yeah, I've tried it before, but yeah, it's been a bit different today. News sports, and I'm not entirely sure about how it does things like copy and pasting and what markup is putting around things. So we'll just go with the standard text for now. Site sections. So I assume this is either called content by path or site sections or some combination of. And then we're going to obviously have users. Back to this again. Put in the two fields on the news term. Okay, sorry, you can edit your users to apply the taxonomy terms whichever user you want. Okay. So we add the terms to the users, and then you don't need to add it to the content because it's inferred by the path, I would assume. So we're not having to tag a news article with a news, because I would assume that it's then done by path. So I assume we're tagging the user with the taxonomy add term to the user, regardless of what we're adding. So we have a node with a path, with not a term. It would seem. FAQs. We can also fix this heading while we're here, maybe. What if I want to have one more path and term? Path fields are text as multi-values. You can have as many paths as you want. So you might have news, add news, and also about /news. Okay. Put these two fields in the news term will mean that each term in the profile. Okay, makes sense. Can I control who could see? Okay, I think that's one more term to a user. Okay, I think this sort of makes sense to me, I think. So we're going to need, what are we going to need? So what typing today is not good. Going to need, so inside each test, we're going to need a site sections vocabulary, which I assume gets created automatically. I'm going to install the module. We're going to need terms within it, so news, business, etc. And then news sport. that's fine. And then users and with terms added to say which sections they can edit. And then also going to need obviously content nodes with the appropriate paths. I think something like news, I would assume sections. So something like news/sports is probably going to be like a landing page, listing page of things with it. So does that mean the article is news/sports/something? Maybe news, sports, star, something to that effect. Maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. Cool. Okay. I think that's sort of makes sense. We don't need these anymore. I have an empty Drupal site. So that's what we're going to be working with today. This is based on my Docker example Drupal project. So this is available on GitHub if anybody wants to take a look at it. And just to bring it back to the last stream that we did, this is all powered by the build configs tool that I was working on a little bit in the last stream. So there's a build.yaml file with all the things in it that we were sort of talking about in the last stream. So that's not important for this right now, but that's what's generating this site. So let's get the module and let's see what we can do. Because there's no tests here at all, we can just start with, then we can make an empty tests directory and go from there. Web modules. So we're going to do a git clone of this. Make sure we get the most recent version. Ooh, okay, this is interesting. You, OP Davis, must accept the terms of service in order to perform this action. To do a git clone. That's interesting. I did this the other day. This must be a new thing. To accept these terms, please access GitLab on my web browser at git.drupalcode.org. Okay. This is new. Let's do this before. Or is it because it's not my repo? No, for now, it doesn't matter. We can just use the other link, presumably. Drupal. No, that's the wrong repo. What's going on here? How am I on the... Oh, okay. I clicked on the link. Right, okay. Come on, Ollie, you can do this. Right. Edit, clone with HTTPS. Okay. Take 3. Git clone. That. Okay. Cool. That's cloned. Awesome. He says he's going to write test for a module. Can't even clone the module. Content access by path. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. So, no tests at the moment. I feel like we can start with functional tests and just check the response codes of things, which is, I think, fundamental. Like the key part of this is that users with the terms can't edit things they can't, or shouldn't be able to edit things they can't do. So we can assert that we can get the right status codes based on whether they've got the right terms or not. So we can say if they're in the right group, they should get a 200 okay response. They should maybe get a 404 or a 403 if they don't have it. So I feel like we can start with that approach. Let's make a split and let's... How do I resize these? There we go. So let's go back to the main part of the repo and let's modules by path. So Drupal tests inside the module live inside tests directory inside SRC, because we could have test modules. So we've got test modules that we need. We maybe don't need that in this case, but let's start off and see where we get to. Test source. We'll do functional test, as I said, just to test the status codes and things, and then let's just do content access test. And we can think of a better thing to call it maybe later on. Factor is not working for me. Let's added a new module. Let's see. Nope. Okay, that's fine. I'll just do this manually then. Namespace, Drupal tests, and then context by path. Functional. So it'll be fun to see if I can remember how to do all these from scratch. So inside the Drupal test namespace, because it's a test, inside context access by path module, and then we're inside the functional directory. So that seems to make sense. That seems good to me. We have a class, and it's called content access test. I found this last time. Again, I was streaming. I'm looking over here because this is where my text is, but the camera is over here. So I might want to remove these around soon, but we'll see for now. And then it's browser test base, which I was hoping would get auto completed. Let's restart this. Come on, we can do this. Browser. Why is my autocomplete not working? Zero clients attached. Oh, that would do it. SP restart. It's going to be a long stream if I type everything out by hand. What's going on here? And then my phone is also go off on the side as well. Zero client status buffer. There should be a client. There should be 2 clients. Let's see. Let's just harpoon this. We can close some other files we don't need. Let's repeat this again. Or is this going to be a NeoVim fixing stream? What's going on? Okay, we have a client. That's good. There we go. Okay. Hopefully now we're rocking and rolling. Yeah, it's still not working. Okay, that's fine. Let's see to do this. So content access test expands browser test base. So now we need to write a function. Test content access. Now, typically I prefer to write quite detailed test names, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be testing inside this test yet. So we'll start with something simpler, and then we'll go. You got some in the chat. Which in the chat? Sakamedo. How you doing? Okay, so a few things we need to make again. So we needed a user, we needed a term, and a node. Now, we're going to also need to find some modules, which I believe is static modules, but we'll find out in a moment. So we also need to set inside the test where or which modules we want to install. So we need to install content access by path. Otherwise, we have nothing to test. And I feel like there's going to be some more, but we'll deal with those when we get to them. And then on this side, let's just get a test runner going. Run test web modules custom. not in custom, it's in content access by path. Okay, there we go. So tests are running, but failing. So we have more setup to do. Default theme is required. Okay, public default theme equals Stark. It's usually my default go-to. Okay, so it's running. The other thing we could do is use something like watch exec, just to keep watcher running. See whether that works. So it'd be nice if he'd run the tests for me when I make a change, which he doesn't look like us doing. No, it stopped. Brilliant. See if that comes back to life in a minute. Or not. If not, we'll just close it. Okay. Content access by path has unmet dependencies. So we need a field module, we need taxonomy, and we also need taxonomy. Taxonomy twice. Okay. That makes sense because we know that we're going to need those. Field taxonomy. Let's just kill that if it's not going to play nicely. Configuration objects provided by path unmet dependencies. Field taxonomy field. Let's see. Still could do the same thing. Do you need to add in here as a dependency? Seems to be different sometimes depending on what the error message is. Or sorry, same error message sometimes, because sometimes have to do different fixes, I found. Okay, so adding field and taxonomy as a dependency here seems to have fixed it. So for now, let's remove it from here again. Let's see if we get the same error. Yeah, okay. Schema errors. Have I really I want to move this down to the bottom, but now I can't remember how to do that. There we go. Just gives a bit more space. Let's see what we're doing. Some of these messages are quite long. Schema errors, context by path. Okay. We can look at the schema error, or there's a way of just like we can disable them for now. I'm more focused on trying to get these tests to work. There's a thing that's strict schema validation, I think. Strict schema validation. Quick strict schema. Yeah. See, I've searched this before. And I'm not saying it's the right way to fix it, but for the sake of, it feels like we should have a different, there should be a separate issue for this. And it's not one that I really want to go fixing right now. Let's just solve one problem at a time. Move on. Cool. Okay, so that gets us to a place where our test is running. We've got all the modules that we need, and we've got all the configuration set up. We're enabling this module. We've turned off strict schema thing for now, and then we've also got our default theme. Cool. Okay, but of course we're not doing anything yet, so there's no assertions or anything to fail. Okay, let's go back to this page and let's see what we need to add. By path module allows. So I think that's going to be the first thing. It's just let's have a look at that taxonomy that should be there. So we can call it site sections in here. So if we call sections, and there's a use taxonomy trait that we can use. Let's put it at the top of the file. This gives us a nice little shortcut to do create term. And the term wants the vocabulary, which, let's have a look. What is the vocabulary? Install text and vocabulary content access by path. Okay, so the vocabulary ID is content access by path. Cool. Okay. So we can add that here, and then I assume we can pass some arguments to it. Yeah, values. Okay. That's an array, so we can sort of say name, I would assume, and then we can say this is going to be, what were the examples again? News. Actually, let's just do this for now because we'll make a couple of them. News. But then we also need to figure out how to set the terms. So that'll be the next thing we need to find out to do. Sports. Sports. And then sports. Rugby. Expected type vocabulary interface find string. Okay. What's that Eric thinking about then? Oh, wants the actual vocabulary. Create term, it wants the vocabulary interface. Okay, fine. So vocabulary is vocabulary load. Okay, it's been a while since I wrote the code on this. ID, okay. Surround add inward. There we go. Also switched my surround plugin recently, so yeah, relearning some muscle memory. Okay, so we can do this with a macro, I think. And add vocabulary. Nope, fail. Epic fail. Back to the line there, delete till there, then put the vocabulary in. If I can spell it. There we go. First try, second try. So I guess the first thing, what is it we're actually trying to test in this? So we need a couple of different tests. So we're going to need user, we're going to need a term, we're going to need a node. So we've made the terms. Let's just move this here. Okay, this is code agent right. So I'm trying to figure this out as we go. So users again, we've got a user creation trait that we can use. Just add a mark there, and then let's jump down and do use creation trait. Do this create user. So usually create user will take an array of permissions. Permissions, a name, whether they're an admin or not, and then values. So I'd imagine we're going to need to give them at least some permissions to be able to access things like the administration area. And I also feel that we're going to need to use values to set, which we need to add the term to the user once we've created them. So probably going to need that, and then we're going to need a node. Let's just say we can make an article for now. And this will be a page. Oh, page, article. Call it article, it should be an article. Of course it should. And then let's give it a title. I feel like it's a bit longer than I'd usually wait before getting a test to run, but we need to get an assertion in here in a minute. Sports, a news article, any news article. Usually my thing is to try and get the simplest test running, and then we can move some of these things into like a setup method or a helper function or something later on. That's fine. And we want to need to set the path here. So is this just path? This is where maybe I should have done this in the UI first to try and figure out and said a bit more about what we're sort of actually doing. Create term. Okay, we're going to need to add some things to the term. We need to add to the term the paths as well, right? I believe. Let's have a look actually in the UI. We need to install the module. First of all, it's a fresh Drupal site. Content access by path. No bit one. I don't want you to save that. Thank you. Taxonomy, content by path. Okay. So if we were to do the same thing again, there's our name and there's our path. Or, like we were saying, we could have about us/news as well. Okay, so how do we do this in our test? Config install field taxonomy access by path storage. Looks like path is a string. That's going to be easy to do it this way. Structure, taxonomy, fields. The field is also called content access by path. Okay. Content access path. Add website path here, e.g. news. Okay. So the vocabulary ID is that, and the field name is also that. Let's check we haven't broken anything. No, we're good. Okay. Not that we had too much to break right, right now. Okay, so news. Okay, so what are we saying? We need to do some sort of assertion next. So let's probably don't need these right now, actually. We need to make sure that, let's go back in here. So this is my understanding. Users, given there is a term with news, given a term with path news and a node with in that path, no, node with the path of news something. When I'm logged in as a user with that term, then I should be able to edit the node. That's my understanding. Although I could be wrong. When I'm not, so then alternatively, we've also got, there's a term with news and there's a node. When I'm not logged in with the user, I should not be able to. So we need to try and replicate that now inside this here. So, okay, let's look at the user side then. Configuration. I don't have the drop-down menus on, so I was half expecting those to drop down and appear then, but they didn't. So again, we've got another one called content access by path, called content access by path. So the field on the user is called content access by path as well. Okay. Content access by path, which is an entity reference to a term. Okay. Okay. So this is a term. And then this also could be the term. So we have a term in news called news. We have a user who has that section. We have an article inside that section, and I'm assuming that's how that works with the paths. And then we now do a login, because nothing will change if you're not logged in. Drupal login as our user, which we haven't set the variable of. So I feel like we're in that space now. We need to do some version. So now we're logged in as that user. Can we go to node/1/edit and see what we expect to see? Session. Which one do you want here? Search session. Code status code equals. Response. So I like using these HTTP constants just to make it more readable. Although alternatively you could put .29, we could put like a 200 response in there. So that's all that does, is add a constant, just make it a bit more readable, I think. Now let's see. It's tricky because it's not a module I wrote, so I'm trying to figure this out as we go. Let's see then how this works. Is it going to pass or not? Current response code is 403, but 200 expected. Okay, so we're saying we should be able to edit this page. We should be getting a 200 response, but we're not. When we go to node 1 edit. Now, node 1, it's going to be node 1 because it's a new test, and it does Drupal will do a fresh install of Drupal for every test. So it might be, as well as having these values, it might to give some permissions as well. Is it administer nodes or is it administer content? I always get these two backwards. Invalid permission. See, this is why I like tests, because they tell me what I'm doing wrong. Okay, still getting a 403. Let's see what's going on. So, is it the module that's doing this, or is it something that I've not done? Let's see. What if we take this back? right to the sort of beginning, and we take these modules away. That's probably how we should have started, with just a very basic, does this work the way we think it does to begin with, discussion test, just to begin with. So we've got login as the user, we've got the node. Does that work? Administer nodes. We also don't have the node module installed. No, it's not giving us a specific error that it's not there, but it is obviously saying that the missing nodes doesn't exist. Response is 403 with 2 nodes expected. So we're getting access denied. Are we logging in? Are we doing all the things we should be doing? Instant nodes. Creating a user with that permission. Got instant nodes. We're creating a node. So the path is irrelevant at this point. We are logging in as our user. We are then going to the node 1 edit page. Then I think that should be passing, but it's not. Do we have a node type of page? Or article, even. Keep doing that. Article. Sometime. I'm never quite sure what's created by default as part of a test. We're still getting the 403. This is not what I was expecting. It doesn't seem like it's to do with the module configuration either. Let's go through this again. Modules. So we're enabling node. Makes sense. So we are creating a user. The user has administered nodes. Do they need more permissions than that? Do we need something like access administration pages? So if we know that this bit works, then we can start making sure that the content access by path part is working. No, that's not doing that. We are creating an article. Logging in as the user. Why is this not working? So there's something we can do that's like get session. Get response. Get HTML. Get content. Get page. What is it? They've moved this around since the last time I've done it, probably. Get HTML. Let's see. What are we actually getting? What is going on here? Are we even logged in? That's the question. That's not the question, but you can see what I mean. So this is the HTML that we're getting. It's rendered, access denied. Set to main content, banner. Not authorized to access this page. Yeah, access denied, not authorized. Node 1 edit. That's fine. We are on node 1 edit. It is not admin, it is not for. We are user ID 2. Permissions hash. Are there more permissions that we need? Let's have a look. Are there more permissions now that we need that I haven't used before or haven't used for a while? Edit any content. This might be a thing because we haven't. It's not our users made the content. What is the actual machine? What's the machine name for this? What is the edit any article content? Invalid permission, edit any article content. Is that because I've made the content type? Let's see. Let's move that around. Let's try that again. The error is changing, so we're making some progress. No. Invalid permission, edit any article content. It feels like we're failing at the first hurdle. We haven't actually got as far as retesting the module. We're trying to just get this to work. Invalid permission, edit any article content. Are we still enabling the node module? Yes. Making a content type. That's what we've done. Permissions, edit anything else. Make me think something else isn't right. The fact it's saying invalid permission. Because we know something's not right because the test isn't even running properly. Permission, edit any article content. Do I need to save this? That'd be funny if it's that. Hey, okay, we're off. Okay, cool. So we're making the content type, the node type, but weren't saving it. Okay, cool. Right, I think we're back on the right track. Maybe. Yeah, we can move a lot of this into setup later on if we sort of know what's going on. Don't need that anymore. Okay, cool. Still green. Okay. Let's try re-adding then some of these things back in. Let's see what's going on. Let's do this piece at a time. This is just help with my understanding as well. And we're going to try and stay green as much as we can here. Drupal taxonomy, edit entity vocabulary does not correspond to an entity type. Okay, so we need to add taxonomy, which makes sense because we're creating a term, or we're loading a vocabulary and then adding terms to it. So that's good. These are our core modules at the top. These are our contrib modules below. Contrib modules. Okay, let's create our term. Create term, like one must be a type of vocabulary interface null given. Oh, so we can't load the vocabulary because we haven't enabled the module. One step at a time. There we go. Okay, cool. So we can load the vocabulary, we can create a term in it. That's good. Let's ignore those ones for now. We'll need those later on. Create our node type. Let's check we can add this to our user. Interesting. So now we've added the content access by path term to the user. We can't edit the node, which makes sense because we haven't put it into that section. So if we put it into the section, does that mean it should start passing again? No. Okay. Let's have a look here. Path. Is that even how we set the path? Using path? News, a node news article. News. Create him. The path is news. Called news. We can ignore the fact it's called news, so it doesn't matter, I don't think. Expect path. This is where my understanding of what the module is supposed to be doing might be not quite right. Created the term. So we created the section. We've then made the user. The user has that section attached, assigned to them. Then created a node, which is inside that section. So here we're saying that this one, that the path is news. And here we're saying that the path is news. And I am assuming that if it's of inside that section, so news / something, that's how it's supposed to work. It's like dump out the node thing. I don't know why that keeps going on the line above, but it does. That's fine. We'll go with it. Get URL. How do we get the URL? URL string. Let's just check we're setting this right. Path is node /1. Is that how we set the path? Array of values, title, type, body, title, type, UID. That doesn't help. Creates a node, returns. So again, just check we don't need to save it. I don't think we do, because it says it returns the created one. Node. Say set path. Is there a published? No. And 2RL could just be returning what, like not the actual path. Okay, let's make a node. Let's find out. Alias, use something. Yeah, because this is, it's making alias to start with a slash. Ooh, okay. I wonder if that's just a UI thing, or whether that's, maybe that's the problem. News path 0 alias. So it's not just path. Search for its path. Gonna find loads of things, right? I don't want. Just looking so I can find an example in a different test, which I'm not filtering them out by that, but prefix path. Those aren't what I want, are they? So just trying to figure out here what we're doing. Path 0 alias. It's actually quite fun to be trying to learn and figure out something new. Still 4.3. Still node 1, which is, yeah, I'd expect that, to be fair, because that's still the machine path. Still 4.3. Just try a few different options and see if I can get one of them to work. Let's see. I feel like I've written tests for this before, so I should know how to do it. Create node, title, path, alias. Okay. Title, path. Okay, so slightly different syntax to the one that I was trying. So we might be sort of nearly halfway there with that. Let's see. That's not an array. That's fine. Use something. Let's go back to what we had at the beginning. I feel like it needs to be inside the section, not the section. Nope. Okay. Path alias test node is 1. They've got the / at the beginning, which we now have. Path alias. That's weird. What is that? Some ligature thing going on inside my Firefox thing. Get node ID, create node, path, alias test 2. I feel that bit is right now. Is there something else I need to change up here? Does this seem to start with the /? No. Create article. Till path. Get what is it? Is it setting this right? Render access option to render array. Let's see what's in there. Render array is deprecated. That's fine. I'm not going to be using it hopefully for a short amount of time. Is it going to blow up my machine? No. It's probably a really big render array. Bad idea. It's actually a bit cold in here again. See which keys we get back in this render array. See if that helps. Yeah, URL options callback. It's not very helpful. I actually quite like this is something a bit interesting, something a bit different, something new I haven't worked on before, something to try and figure out. And a funky URI. It's not called URI, it's called URL. Let's try that again. It's weird. We wish that watch exec thing was going to run. It was just sit there and watch my tests and rerun them for me, but it doesn't look like it's going to. Oh, is there something in the setup steps I'm missing here? So we have a term with a section in it. Let's rename that site section. Term, and the section has a path of news. Okay. Create our node type. We'll create a user. User and edit articles. Administer nodes. Has this value. So we're tagging the user with the site section. Because this was working to be added this, right? Let's take that out again. So that's passing. Okay. So in my mind, there's something then happening with the module is doing something, right? It is. Is it that the path is wrong, or is it that my setup steps are wrong? Then we've got a node with the path. Logging as the user, and then we should be able to edit it. So either I'm misunderstanding, either this isn't being set correctly, or I'm misunderstanding how it works. It could be more likely to be the latter, if I'm honest. Let's try a few more variations of this. Because again, it's not a module that I wrote, so I'm figuring this out as we go. Node is create node, title, path, alias, test node 2. So this is the same as what I'm doing. Path, alias. Then doing a get. So that should be working. Is that what I'm saying? I think. Let's go back. Do I need to tag something with something else? Am I missing something? You want to be able to allow to edit all content in the news section. Let's add edit content in news business, news sports, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So add a taxonomy term with each of the sections. We've done that. Then each term you put the path. Then in each term you put the path that user who that's can be applied to can edit. So the news term you put the path news. Sports term you put news/sports, and new rugby team you put news sports rugby. You edit your users and apply the taxonomy terms. I feel that's what we're doing. Let's have a quick look. So there's only a form. That's a different module. Let's have a look at this. What's going on? Content access by path node access. Okay, if we're updating or deleting. Which one are we updating or deleting? We're editing. I believe that's updating. Been a while since I looked at these update hooks. load the current users. We can see if they have any context restrictions. Okay. Current user has this. We then get Drupal service path alias manager. This might be a good way of checking we're setting the thing right. The other thing about tests is like they are good documentation, so it's always good for, if I'm writing some code and want to figure out how it works, I can go and look at the tests, but there aren't any tests yet at this point, which is why I'm going to figure out as we go. Is that still node 1? So it looks like the path's not being set still. This create node. Okay, title of that path. Test node 2. Article, field test link, URI, blah 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 blah. Path alias, test node 2. Path alias. I feel like we're setting this right based on this. Oh, this is a 2020 patch, so maybe it's maybe it's out of date. Let's see, table alias, looking for. Sure, so I can filter this down to just do tests, but for now it's fine. Lots of use of the word alias in core, it would seem. Include a field alias. That's interesting. Test path alias is true. That might be something different. Let's get this working before we finish this for the stream for the end of the day. It's probably finishing at about 4, but I'd like to get this working. Feel like we're just trying to get this bit working, and then we're good. Path 0 alias again. That's the same as what we're doing. Path alias test. It's not an actual test, that's something different. Path alias no token. No, that's what we want. Test node alias 777. This is what I was trying to do earlier. I was thinking about simple test days. Path alias create, save. Node create type title. I don't want to do path auto. I just want to set the path. Node set path alias. That seems too simple. it is just that, though, that'll be fun. News something. Nope, still foreign. I see we don't need something like a path order module to do it. Path alias create path. Do we need this? Is this a new thing? 9.2. That's like a different. Is path alias a thing? Module, web core modules. Do we need? We haven't actually turned on the path module. That might be a thing we also need. Hey, okay, we needed the path module. Okay, very good. What I was doing then do we not actually need? Okay, we didn't need the path alias thing. We just needed that, it would seem. There we go. Lessons learned. Let's see. Enable the path module. Cool. Okay. Right. Let's see. So don't need that anymore. And I feel a lot of the time with doing, it's the first test that takes the time just to figure out what's going on and to get everything right. So usually then adding the second, third, fourth test is usually a lot easier. It's just figuring out these sort of setup steps, things that aren't necessarily obvious. Cool. Okay. So this is passing. So given I'm the user, I've assigned to the right site section, I'm trying to edit something inside the site section, I can do that. So in theory, if I delete this now so I don't have the section anymore, it should fail. Which doesn't. Okay. Is that not? Again, this might just be me misunderstanding. Oh, they've got edit any article content. Does that override this or something, maybe? I was sort of expecting this to now fail because I was expecting it to say, well, you don't have that site section anymore, so it should fail. So again, it's me trying to understand what's going on here. Let's go back again to this. Let's see. We don't need that. Let's go back to this introduction. Apply the terms. So you can add taxonomy for each of the site sections. Each term, you put the path user to apply to it. So in the news term, you put the path news in the sports section. Yeah. Editors without some editors without all the content in news. So I'm assuming if somebody doesn't have that, it should fail. Although then it does say what happens if no term is added to a user, you can then edit to whichever you ordinarily have access to. Okay. Okay, so it defaults back. Okay, so if this is site section A, and this one is site section B. So if this is right, then we can obviously write different tests for this. It's just understanding the requirements and understanding the functionality right now. Cool. Okay. That makes sense. So there aren't any things, it just defaults back to the normal edit permissions. But because I now have a section and I'm not assigned to the right section, now it fails. Okay. So we can add that to my acceptance criteria. Users without any, with no sections. Terms can edit any articles. Users with site sections, but not the one they are trying to edit, will fail. Or cannot edit. The node. So there's probably like 3 or 4 different tests in here that we can extract out. Cool. Okay, I think I've got a good understanding now of how of how this works. So, there's about probably 3 or 4 different types of tests I can extract out from this, to cover these different use cases and different scenarios. It's just a case of just switch these out for now. So let's maybe reframe this into a test. Users with the news section, site section, term can edit nodes within the news section. So this is how I usually write test names, very long descriptive test names. So that's fine. And section, and then we can move some of this into a different test, because we'd otherwise be trying to cover too many things. I don't know whether we can use named things in here actually, so let's delete that, and then we're going to have to fill in these other ones, null, false. Create a node, that's fine, login. Okay, I think this is all good. Does it still pass? Hopefully be back to it passing. Yes. And the reason I like to write longer names for things, so you can use these like test docs flag, and it'll give you the whole name, converts the test name into like a sentence case, and then uses that in your test output. You can override it as well. If it's sometimes I get some slightly weird ones with some things, like if you're using words like IP address, you can like override this here as well. So if you do get something, you need to be a bit more explicit about how it works. Let's see, or how it's formatted. Now we should just get the word override, because I've overridden it, I believe. There we go. So the word override. Cool. Okay. So let's. Well, I'm gonna have to wrap this up in a few minutes, I think. But I think we're good. I think we've figured out the crux of the problem. One is having that path module enabled, and 2 is understanding some of the business logic around the module and around if there isn't a site section assigned at all, compared to if there is one, but it's the wrong one. So that's passing. Let's quickly make a setup. So setup functions run before every test. So there's a little bit of setup we need to do every time. So creating the page content type we'll do every test. So we'll do that. We need to call parent setup as well, I believe. And we could make this we could move this as well. We'll just need to make it accessible. We could take a private vocabulary. Vocabulary interface. vocabulary. So let me just change this to be this vocabulary. So just try and extract out the reusable parts into different tests so that we can reuse the bits that we want to reuse. Keep those there for now. We'll delete them in a minute. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just duplicate this test then, and let's duplicate this, and then we can make the next version of it, the next use case. Uses, so without the new site section cannot edit. Okay, let's not go into that trap again. Users with no site section. Let's cover that one first. No site sections. Site section terms can edit, because we know that if they don't have any sections, then they should still be able to. So in this case, we don't need those. And we'll just add an empty array of sections. Keep the node. And I think that should work. We should expect that to pass. Because they don't have any sections. They should default back to that default behavior of being able to edit, which is good. And then let's do maybe one more. Users with the incorrect site section, or users without the news can not edit terms. Okay, so we'll do this one again. So let's do a we have an option that wasn't news. Because technically, if it's the news section and there's the new business section, news business sits within news. So I wonder how that would work. Here's another interesting thing. What if you're in like a subsection? Interesting one to figure out. But if we made this one, something else completely different, so we have news and let's, I don't know, banana. So two things that are completely separate and not related to each other. So what I understand from what we've figured out over the last hour and a half or so is that if they're in the wrong section, they shouldn't be able to edit. So if we run this, it should fail because we're in the wrong section, but we're saying we should get an OK, so I'd expect this to fail. And being able to see them fail when you expect is just as important, I think, as having the tester at all. I've replied to some people on Twitter before and been like, hey, my test passed the first time. It's like, how do you know it's testing the right thing? If it's just failing, it could be just passive accident. We could have seen a few of those during the stream already. So this is what I'd expect to happen. We're saying that we're getting a 403, but we're expecting a 200. So we should be expecting a 403. So instead of HTTP OK, we should be accepting a forbidden. Let's run that again. This should hopefully pass. Cool. Okay, so users with this new section can edit terms with the news. Users with no sections can edit them, and users not in the new section can't edit them. I'm curious. I'm going to have a quick experiment before we wrap this up. But what does happen with the site section with subsections? I'm sure Mark or somebody can probably tell me what's going to happen, what would happen if this, but I'll try and figure this out myself. Sports. And then the question then is it that what it's supposed to do? But I can make a merge request for these changes, and we can ask that question then. So if somebody's inside, my thinking is if they're in the news section but not inside sports, if news, because news/sports is inside news, does that work? I don't know the answer. That's the thing. I don't know what the intended thing is, functionality is, but I'm curious. So, but if I can get a test for it to work, and then we can verify whether it's right or not later. Okay, so subsections works. So if they have user is in section A, so they're in the news section, but we also have a subsection, then they can edit things inside the subsection. Well, that's the desired thing, or I don't know. Users can edit nodes within a subsection. And that might be one to use the test docs flag on, because that might output a little bit weirdly. So I suppose, well, we could have the opposite. So if they're inside, let's just wait for that to finish running first. So if they are can not edit nodes if they are assigned the parent section. So if it's the other way around, I'd expect it to not work. So if somebody is only assigned to news sports and we are not in news sport news/sports, then I expect this to fail. Let's see if I'm right in that assumption. But yeah, I know it's a bit slow to get started whilst we figured out what was going on and which modules we had to install for it to work. And looking back, of course, we need the path module to set the path. But cool. So we got five use cases covered. But I think now we've sort of got that setup figured out. Yeah, we can quite easily go in and change parameters, different nodes, different sections, different types. Maybe there's also one of like, I was going to say use, but we've always got one with use without any sections at all, so that's okay. So yeah, if there's more edge cases or more use cases, I'll think of, I can add them in. I'll make merge requests against the module, and maybe Mark or others can suggest some more things to cover. But I think even just having these in there are better than having no tests at all. So, and yeah, it's good bit of fun for me to figure something out for a couple of hours on somebody else's code, and yeah, it was good fun. Cool. Right, no more questions in the chat. Thanks everyone for tuning in or for watching the video. Appreciate it, and hopefully be streaming again next week. So thanks everyone.